The average American household throws away about 2 pounds of food scraps every single week. Banana peels, eggshells, coffee grounds, stuff that goes straight into the garbage bag and then straight into the landfill. Meanwhile, those same households are spending $200 a year on fertilizer. You are literally throwing away plant food with one hand and buying plant food with the other. That was me for 15 years, until I stopped. These are 9 kitchen scraps that work as well, and in some cases better, than anything you will find at the garden center. Number 9. Banana peels. You probably already knew banana peels were good for something. But you might not know exactly what makes them so useful in the garden. Banana peels are loaded with potassium, the same nutrient that fertilizer companies charge you a premium for in their bloom-boosting formulas. Potassium is what helps your plants produce fruit, develop strong roots, and fight off disease. For tomatoes, peppers, and roses, potassium is the single most important nutrient during the flowering and fruiting stage. And unlike nitrogen-heavy fertilizers, banana peels deliver potassium without pushing excess leaf growth. That means your tomato plant puts energy into fruit instead of getting tall and leggy with nothing to show for it. The lazy option is to chop the peels into small pieces and bury them about 2 inches under the soil near the root zone. They break down in a few weeks and feed the soil as they go. The faster option is banana peel tea. Chop up 3 or 4 peels, drop them in a jar of water, and let the jar sit for 48 hours. Strain the liquid, and you have a potassium-rich feed that you can pour straight onto the base of your plants. 1 jar covers about 4 plants. Use it every 2 weeks during the growing season for the best results. Banana peels release potassium steadily as they decompose, feeding tomatoes and peppers through the flowering stage without a trip to the store. And your total cost is 0, because you were going to throw that peel away anyway. Number 8. Coffee grounds. If you drink coffee, you are sitting on one of the best nitrogen sources your garden will ever see. Nitrogen is the nutrient that makes things green. It drives leaf growth, stem development, and overall plant health. Without enough nitrogen, your plants turn pale, grow slowly, and produce almost nothing. A bag of nitrogen-rich fertilizer at the garden center runs about $8 to $12. Your morning coffee produces the same ingredient for free. Used coffee grounds contain roughly 2% nitrogen by weight, plus smaller amounts of phosphorus, potassium, magnesium, and calcium. That is a broader nutrient profile than most single-ingredient store-bought fertilizers. Sprinkle a thin layer around the base of your plants and work it gently into the top inch of soil. Do not pile it on thick, because coffee grounds can compact and form a crust that blocks water from reaching the roots. A thin ring around each plant is all you need. For acid-loving plants like blueberries, azaleas, and rhododendrons, coffee grounds are gold. They add organic matter to the soil, attract earthworms, and create the slightly acidic conditions these plants prefer. But even for plants that do not need acidic soil, coffee grounds improve soil structure by increasing drainage and aeration. Earthworms love the stuff, and earthworms are the best friends your soil has ever had. 1 coffee maker's worth of grounds, spread across 4 or 5 plants, replaces a trip to the garden center. And if you do not drink coffee, most coffee shops will give away their used grounds for free. Just ask. Number 7. Eggshells. Every time you crack an egg for breakfast, you are holding a slow-release calcium supplement in your hand. Calcium is the nutrient that prevents blossom end rot in tomatoes and peppers, that condition where the bottom of the fruit turns black and mushy. If you have ever lost a crop to blossom end rot, you know how frustrating it is. You do everything right, water consistently, fertilize on schedule, and then the fruit rots from the bottom up, and the fix was sitting in your trash can the whole time. Rinse the shells, let them dry on the counter for a day, then crush them into the finest powder you can manage. A blender or mortar and pestle works well for this. The finer the powder, the faster the calcium becomes available to your plants. Sprinkle the powder directly around the base of your tomatoes and peppers, or mix it into your potting soil before planting. Whole or roughly crushed pieces will not do the job. Whole shells take months, sometimes more than a year, to break down. They will not release calcium fast enough to prevent deficiency during a single growing season. The powder form changes that completely. You can also toss crushed eggshells into your compost bin, where they speed up decomposition and add mineral content to the finished product. A household that eats a dozen eggs a week generates enough calcium supplement to protect an entire raised bed of tomatoes through the season. Compare that to a bag of garden calcium, which runs about $8 and does the same job. Number 6. Cooking water. Every time you boil vegetables, pasta, rice, or potatoes, nutrients leach out of the food and into the water. You are making a mild liquid fertilizer without even trying, and then you pour it down the drain. Potato water is especially rich in starch and potassium. Vegetable water from boiling carrots, broccoli, or green beans picks up phosphorus, calcium, and trace minerals. Even pasta water, which is mostly starch, feeds beneficial soil microbes when you pour it onto garden beds. The only rule is that the water must be unsalted and cooled to room temperature before you use it. Salt will damage your plants and your soil over time. Let the water cool, take it outside, and pour it directly at the base of your plants. Keep a dedicated bucket near the stove if that helps you remember. Starchy cooking water feeds beneficial soil microbes, the tiny organisms that break down organic matter and make nutrients available to roots. Think of it as a probiotic for your garden. Those microbes do the invisible work that keeps your soil alive and productive season after season. Do not overdo it though. Once a week is plenty for any single plant. Too much starch can build up on the soil surface and block water absorption. But considering that you produce this stuff every time you cook dinner, it is an effortless way to feed your garden with something you would otherwise pour down the drain. Over the course of a year, that is hundreds of gallons of mild fertilizer that cost you nothing. Number 5. Wood ash. If you have a fireplace, a fire pit, or a wood-burning stove, you are producing one of the oldest fertilizers in human history every time you light a fire. Wood ash contains calcium, potassium, magnesium, and phosphorus. It also works as a natural liming agent, meaning it raises the pH of acidic soil. If your soil is too acidic for most vegetables and flowers, wood ash can correct that without a trip to the hardware store for a bag of pelletized lime. According to guidance from the University of Wisconsin Extension, a 5-gallon bucket of wood ash is enough to treat roughly 1,000 square feet of garden. Sift out the large charcoal pieces first, then scatter the ash evenly, and work it into the top 2 to 4 inches of soil. One application per year is enough for most gardens. Wood ash reacts faster than ground limestone, so you will see results within weeks rather than months. There is a catch, though. Do not use wood ash around acid-loving plants like blueberries, azaleas, or rhododendrons. Raising the pH around those plants will stress them and can cause nutrient lockout, where the minerals are in the soil but the plant cannot absorb them. And never use ash from treated lumber, painted wood, or anything other than clean hardwood. The chemicals in treated materials will contaminate your soil and potentially your food. Stick to ash from untreated oak, maple, hickory, or fruitwood. For your vegetable beds, your flower borders, and your lawn, clean wood ash is a free and effective alternative to bagged garden lime that costs $5 to $10 at the store. Number 4. Use tea leaves. Tea drinkers, this one is for you. Used tea leaves contain nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, the 3 nutrients that make up the NPK ratio on every bag of store-bought fertilizer. They also contain tannic acid, which naturally lowers soil pH over time. That makes them especially useful for acid-loving plants like blueberries, azaleas, camellias, and ferns. After you finish your cup, spread the damp leaves on a paper towel and let them dry completely. This takes about a day or 2 depending on humidity. Once dry, sprinkle them around the base of your plants or work them into the top inch of soil. Do not dump them in a wet pile, because damp tea leaves can mat together and grow mold on the soil surface. Drying them first prevents that problem entirely. You can also steep used leaves in a bucket of water for 24 to 48 hours to make a weak liquid fertilizer. Strain out the leaves and use the brown liquid to water your plants directly. It is mild enough to use every other week without risking fertilizer burn, which is more than you can say for most synthetic concentrates. Just make sure you remove any synthetic tea bag material before composting or applying to your garden. Some tea bags contain polypropylene, a plastic that will not break down in soil and does not belong anywhere near your food plants. Use loose-leaf tea or cut the bags open first. 1 cup of tea a day generates enough spent leaves to feed a container garden through the entire growing season.